The first pen and ink combination is a new pen. This is the Lamy Safari Special Edition Pina Colada. I ordered it with a medium nib, and the ink that I had set aside or determined to use on this Friday, June 7th, was Montblanc Turquoise. Well, maybe I identified more than just 2 bottles of ink that I can let go. Even though I really like the color, it's almost too bright for me. And because it was acquired in a swap, I'm not sure just yet. I will know that in August once I'm done with all of my bottles. I think this might be a turquoise that I can pass along to someone else. This is Montblanc Turquoise. I find it just so loud. Of course, it doesn't really match this pen, well, maybe it's the water at the pool where I'm drinking my pina colada, but it came in the day before and I just wanted to use it, and so I did, because as you know, if you've been watching my videos for a while, then pina colada, that's how it's written. I really don't match pens and inks with each other. I love the way it looks, but it's really loud actually. It sticks out from my other pens, which I didn't expect to happen. For some reason, this one doesn't really fit in. It doesn't matter. I still like it very much so. However, I am thinking of maybe even passing this along to my nephew, who's coming in a couple of weeks. So if he's writing with a fountain pen in school and he knows he likes Lamy pens, I will find that out when he's here. Then I'm more than happy to just hand this to him and say, hey, why don't you take this one? The next pen that I used, this is not in the correct order. That is really bad. The next pen that I used was my Pilot Custom 823. I had purchased a bottle of Diamine Evergreen without ever putting this ink into a pen because I liked the sample, and then I accidentally passed along the sample without putting it into a pen. So I just decided I needed to purchase a bottle. I bought a 30 milliliter bottle, but this ink is a favorite. It's awesome. I love it so much. This is a medium nib. And the second I pulled this pen out, or I had inked it and I started to write with it, I was like, I don't even know why this isn't inked 24/7 and used all the time, because when I use this pen, it just feels like the perfect pen for me. This is the pen that I called home. And it started this whole thought process on what makes this pen so homey, so comfortable, so good for me. Pilot Custom 823 amber with a medium nib, that I have this thought immediately when I start writing. Why don't I have this feeling, or this, why don't I have this feeling with all the pens? What makes it stand out? What makes it so good? I think the answer is that it has exactly the right section width that I prefer. There is no step up to the barrel. the section tapers out a little bit at the bottom, so I don't accidentally slide down. I don't usually do that, but when it's not there, I tend to have a more death grip. And I think because it is a vacuum filling pen, the pen has quite a bit of weight, and so it sits perfectly well balanced in my hand. And because it's of the length, it doesn't feel like I need to post it. I could, but this feels really good. So that's when I started. So wow, what does it, what constitutes a home pen, and is there more than just one? Do I have this feeling more times than just with this one? And then the next pen that I used, hopefully, well, actually, before I'm going to talk about this pen, I am going to talk about Lamy Violet Blackberry. I think I said it in my last video that this ink is basically just sheen, even though you don't necessarily see this on video and in this notebook. It is overpowering with sheen. And so I thought that maybe, or no, in that video, people commented, or on my Instagram post when I shared this, they said a distilled water is the solution to make it less sheeny. And I had a sample of dilution solution from Birmingham Pen Company. And so I started to experiment with a sample that I took from the bottle. And I can tell that it looks, let me just add another writing sample. So this is almost, let me look it up again. So I had about 3 milliliters of ink in the sample vial, and then I added 10 drops of dilution solution, 5 drops, and then 10 more drops. So a total of 25 drops that came up to about 2 milliliters of dilution solution. So a mixing ratio of 3:2. This is Lamy Violet. And on this Rhodia paper, it is definitely visible that there is less sheen. Platinum. Hey, I forgot to do this. It doesn't feather, so that's awesome. Sometimes, especially when you add white lightning, which is not an ink a diluter, it is an ink wetter, so it's a different type of liquid. If you add too much of that platinum, it will start to feather and bleed through. That is not happening with this plus dilution solution. And 7.6 with a medium nib. So let me just bring this closer, and I hope you can see it. You can see the base color of Lamy Violet Blackberry better in this writing sample. There is a lot of gold sheen up here, and if I'm looking at just the Rhodia sample, I don't even think that the gold sheen is too obtrusive. But on any of the other papers that I have used it was really bad. It wasn't enjoyable. Now, doing this showed me that I personally feel that the base color of Lamy Violet Blackberry is too dark. I would have loved this to be more like Diatramentis Alexander Hamilton. Then I would probably go through the trouble of mixing it with a dilution solution to be able to see the base color. But this is basically black, and I don't care for this color, so that color is just leaving my collection. I already have found a new home for it, so that is taken care of. But that's what I tried to do and figure out once after somebody commented on my Instagram post. So thank you so much for that. It was really helpful. I loved playing and trying that out. And then I think in my last video, I also said that Kobe number 47 Aotani Cascade Green was very similar to Pilot Iroshizuku Shoro, which it is clearly not. So I really love this color, and this will be one that will be joining my stash at some point. All right, let's continue. Sunday, June 9th was Diamine Sepia, and I matched it with the Esterbrook Estie in Honeycomb because I think this is a perfect match. This swatch picks up all of the colors of this pen. And so if I have something that is this close, I needed to try this. I have a fine nib on this Honeycomb. This is a random Yovo nib because it just writes really well. And it's very smooth, and that shows me that this ink might be quite dry in everyday use, because I'm having some trouble getting this to flow well, but that's okay. Diamine Sepia in the Esterbrook Estie in Honeycomb. I do have some pens that are very wet writers that would probably be more suitable for this ink, and so I'm really okay with having this, even though I know that I am getting a bottle of Diamine Brandy Snap, which is day 12, which is over here. And yes, they are similar, no doubt about it. For sure. I think this leans a little bit more pink, whereas this leans a little bit more yellow. And I was just super drawn to using this pen and ink combination to do a Zentangle. I am subscribed to a YouTuber, Kelly Bluin, who shared this, and I thought this looked so nice, so I wanted to try and see how it looked. This is not something that I would want to do every single day or with every pen and ink pairing, but sometimes, like that specific day, I loved doing it, and I really love how it turned out. And then in my last video, I also talked about using the other dry ink. After I used Diamine Celadon Cat, I was going to use the other ink that I was going to use for my pen. It's from my pen case series in the same pen. So I had used the Scribo Feel in Mosto with a medium nib. I cleaned it and I inked it up with Troublemaker Petrichor. And yeah, I wrote here, I can't believe I basically bought the same color twice. Celadon Cat is more blue than this. This is closer to, for instance, Sailor Urameku Yoi with these purple undertones. In the chromatography hue here, it's more pinkish, maybe, possibly, I don't know. And I realized that this is a color that I don't necessarily enjoy. And this is also a pen that will leave my collection. I am putting this up for sale. So if you are interested in it, then please reach out to me via email. My email address is simone@gmail.com. Troublemaker. And this color is one of those color changing colors as well. It looks different on many different papers. Petrichor, and this is the Scribo Feel in Mosto with a medium nib. Let me just show you. I hope you can actually see this. This blank, when you look at it in photos, looks really boring, maybe is a good word for it. But when you look at the flecks more closely, you can actually see the chatoyance of this pen, and the resin. It's really beautiful and something. It has depth that I haven't, like, if I look at this also has flecks. It doesn't really compare to this one at all. It's just, it's nice, but this is just a different kind of experience. Let me show you the pen a little bit more closely to see. I took good care of this pen. However, you can actually see that there's some kind of pink up here in the finial, and the same with these grooves right here. I'm not sure if this is coming off. It doesn't do anything to the performance of the pen. The gold on the clip is still the same, but I wanted to point it out and just make you aware. Of course, I am adjusting the price accordingly. So if you're interested, just please reach out. It's a medium 18 karat gold nib. It's a piston filling pen. It has an ebonite feed. It writes really smoothly, and it's just very, very lovely to write with. It is just not how the Custom 823 feels. And yes, I know that these two pens also don't feel like the Custom 823, but especially at a specific price point, I want a pen to feel special, to make me happy. I want to experience joy. Like, my heart is like, oh my gosh, this is so good. That's what I don't experience. This is just a good writing experience, but it's not exceptional for me. This might, of course, be different for you. Maybe you have already used other Scribos and you're just looking to add a medium, and you already know what this writing experience is, or maybe you want to experience it for a better price than the original sale price. So I am going to list this. There will be an image on my YouTube community board. If you're interested, just send me an email, but I will add the details to that post, and you can also reach out there. So I'm kind of sad because I thought this is one of those, my expectations towards this pen were so high that I wasn't able to, it wasn't able to live up to those expectations, and maybe no pen would ever live up to those expectations. And then sometimes you have a pen that you don't have many expectations, and then it grows into something more. That is something that definitely happens all the time with me. So yeah, probably I shouldn't have even purchased that because my expectations were so high already. So then the next ink and pen pairing that I had Lamy Crystal Ink Azurite. Oh, one thing. Monday, June 10th was Troublemaker Petrichor, which was the very last ink that I had not put in a pen yet. So now I have done my due diligence and have used all of the inks that I have in bottles. And now I'm moving into inks that I have used previously. When I sorted through all of the swatch cards that I have, I made sure to put those that I haven't used in a long time to the front, and then the ones that I have used just this year, for instance, they're more towards the back because I really want to make sure that I'm using the ones that I haven't used to refresh my memory and see how I like them. So because I'm planning to take all the inks that are moving out of my stash, that I'm not selling, to the San Francisco Pen Show and donate them somewhere. I'm not sure just yet. I definitely know that the planner meetup on Sunday, she always has a table where you can put stuff that you're just wanting to donate. And so I'm planning on, if I don't find anybody else, any takers before that, I will donate them there. So Lamy Crystal Ink Azurite was part of a mystery ink box that I purchased from Atlas Stationers last July, I believe. And it is definitely an ink I would have never purchased on my own. Probably speaks for itself that I haven't used it since I tried it then, and it still isn't great. I did some research after inking up this pen, Lamy, and the overall tenor is that it's very wet. As you can see, it doesn't feel wet coming out of this nib. This is the Benu Ambrosia, brown orchid with a fine nib. This pen was sent to me by Benu for the purpose of review, and it's a lovely pen. But this nib seems to need some flossing. I flossed the tines and it was better. Maybe possibly I might have to. I'm using the Kaweco converter in here, and maybe it would be better if I used a regular cartridge with this. That could be a reason why it's so dry. I flossed the tines. It's a little bit better right now. Ambrosia, brown orchid. But it doesn't really matter whether it's the ink or the pen. This ink color is just not it for me. I will happily pass this along to someone else, and this one is one that I definitely hand over to someone in person, because when I received it, it had already leaked, and every time I open it, it seems like the bottle isn't sealing completely, and so I'd rather not ship this to anyone. I don't want to have any disasters. But yeah, this was let's just unink it and be done with it experience. Then I used Robert Oster Old Book Smell, and I wanted to look for, where is my swatch book? Here. For some reason, I feel like this ink must have changed. Maybe I'm remembering incorrectly. Nope, doesn't. I didn't remember this ink to be leaning so orange. I really like it. Still, it's definitely a keeper. But for some reason, I had it in my mind that it was darker. But clearly, like if you can see up here, it's the same. And I put this into the Sailor Pro Gear Imperial Black with a medium nib, which I did not indicate right here. So let me just do that right now. And still having that, oh my gosh, what this feels like home. Very unexpectedly, when I started writing with this, I was like, oh, wow, who would have thought? This is another one of those that feels really, really good. And after I had used this and had inked this, this was when I decided, okay, that all actually means that there's not just one of those in my collection. There's more pens like this, like that evokes a similar feeling as the Pilot Custom 823. And so I need to identify those and then just, that sounds weird, get rid of the others. I've been working towards this quite a bit over the past months. You have heard me say this multiple times. It just wasn't as, you know, obvious as it was with this. And then I used this one, which was the others I used were okay. This one just wasn't it. I have a cat visitor again. He's walking across my stuff here, and there's a tail. Sailor Pro Gear. Imperial Black. Black with a medium nib. And so, yeah, that's... I talked about a similar experience I had with the Pilot Kakunos in various nib sizes. And also my TWSBI Eco in 1.1 stub. I am not getting rid of those because they're not so expensive that they would break the bank if I had just kept them. But I am not actively rotating through them with my inking process. I don't experience joy when I use them mostly. So I'm just going to keep them as for the rare occasion that there is an ink or an activity that I need one of those pens for. So that's the lower end pens that are being, you know, taken out of the collection. And then the higher end pens, I'm trying to just move along, and maybe somebody else will be much happier with it than I. I feel like also those pens don't deserve to not be used. Last one, right over here today. I was really looking forward to using this ink. I haven't used it in a long time. Well, that's not actually true because it was one of the favorites of 2023. And just with the home feeling for fountain pens, when I pulled this out, I was giddy. I was excited that I was going to get to use this ink. And I just felt like it would be so cool if it worked in this pen. And so I inked up this Nagasawa Gearske with a broad nib. And it does not disappoint. This is just such an amazing writing experience. There is shimmer dispersed throughout the writing. And this yellow is just such a sunshine happy yellow. It's cool. It's just lovely. I do see Nagasawa, Gearske. This is a Sailor Pro Gear. There's an S missing with a broad nib. It's just, that's the name. There is a beautiful nib right here. I think I'm too far away. Now you can't really see. There is a, you know, the male hen, whatever that name is, it is on there. And then this beautiful finial. Yeah. So it's awesome. The thing that I was afraid of was I've really enjoyed this fine, even though it was dry, but sometimes I'm going from loving the ink, amount of ink a nib puts down on the paper and just that wet writing experience with a broad and medium nib. And sometimes I love how precise the letters turn out. Like if you compare this and this is just more legible. This is slicey and thin. I think if I had done this Zentangle with a broader nib, it would have turned out much more messy. So I'm really enjoying those precise, slicey penmanship that you get from a finer nib or a drier medium nib. And so I was a bit afraid that this would be too broad, and maybe I started thinking maybe I should have purchased this in a medium nib because then I would use it more. No, it's still awesome. Maybe it's not one that I would gravitate towards right now, but love it. I totally see, and I guess you do too, that this is a really hard to be easily legible. Because it's a broader nib, because the color is yellow, there is shading here that makes it just really, you have to concentrate and look hard to be able to read this. Not so much with this, not so much with this, not so much with this. So yes, there is differences, but for the experience with this shimmer ink that I constantly have in any pen that I put it in, yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite inks that I have in my stash. So, what else? I do have two more from the initial thought process that I stamped right here that would get me to the 15th. I will continue, I believe, to either the 18th or the 21st. I'm not so sure about that just yet. I might only ink up pens on the days that I'm not working, but still ink them until my visitors, my family is here, and then I will do a hard stop. I'm going to unink several pens from this batch and the last batch, and just keep the ones that I really enjoy a lot, and will use them throughout the time that I have my family here visiting. And then when they're gone and I'm back situated at my desk, I will either clean them out, keep using them, whatever. But then that is the time that I'm going to start inking pens again. Let me know what you think. Like anything, if you have any questions, leave it in the comment section down below. I love inking up pens and experiencing this. Just these little writing samples just makes me really happy to be able to use them. I'm currently, as I said, not journaling much, but I have been writing letters. In May, I used to write letters every single day, or notes. Right now, most of the people that I'm sending mail to are pen pals where I write more than just a note card. So it takes me more than just one evening. And so I have spread out my letter writing. What I've done in May, I did basically I sent out mail every day. I haven't done this overview in June because I'm using more than just one pen for the letters. And so I just made a list, and every time I'm done with a letter, I'm starting the next one. And so I hope to get through the 6 next people before my family comes visiting, and then again start writing letters again in July. So it's slowed down, but I'm not doing it, and I really love using all the pens on my letters. Alrighty, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I hope you have a great day wherever you are. I will see you again soon. Until then, bye.